All right, Steve Austin here. Hey, man, thanks you guys for hitting the download button and lending an ear to today's show. Before we get rolling, though, let me tell you about one of the sponsors who makes this podcast possible, TaxAct.com. Filing your federal taxes with TaxAct.com is easy, fast, and free. TaxAct.com, you can start anywhere and finish anytime on your computer, tablet, or phone. And TaxAct.com will guide you every single step of the way. TaxAct.com has been helping people file taxes for over 10 years. And at TaxAct.com, federal returns are free to prepare, free to print, and free to e-file. So save money and get your maximum refund guaranteed with TaxAct.com. Ain't no restrictions. Go online to TaxAct.com/Steve today. That's TaxAct.com/Steve.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is the Steve Austin Show. Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada today, down here at the SHOT Show. Some of you are wondering, what is the SHOT Show? The SHOT Show is a trade convention that happens yearly, annually, once a year. That basically is a little bit redundant there. I'm sitting there looking at my buddy Ted Fowler. He can't speak worth a shit today because he's got a cold. Teddy, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We done had a workout, had some coffee, and you sounded pretty good yesterday. You started catching a bug down there in Rockport a couple of days ago. I thought you was going to miss the event, so you sound like shit. How you feeling?
I feel good. I just, no karaoke.
No karaoke tonight. That motherfucker couldn't sing to begin with. He damn sure can't sing now. Anyway, we're down here walking around. The SHOT Show is a convention where, basically it's all of the latest, greatest hunting, tactical type things in the world of guns, ammunition, camo, outdoor type stuff. And, man, I've been coming to this thing every single year for about the past 8 years. Got a lot of friends out here making rounds and shaking hands and just kind of it's kind of like a pilgrimage that I make. And I drive out here every year, and I used to come out here in my pickup truck, and the guys always stay over here at the Venetian, and the guys always used to me pulling up in my damn silver Chevy truck. And last year they saw me show up in my wife's BMW X5 because my pickup truck was in Texas, and Kristen wouldn't let me drive. My wife would not let me drive my 95 Ford Bronco from Los Angeles to Las Vegas because it's got that short wheelbase. And it's my baby. I drive it so much every single day, but she didn't want me to take a 4-hour drive in my Ford Bronco. It only got 40,000 miles on it. It's in cherry condition, but she just didn't want me on the highway in old technology. So I showed up. It was 2 years ago. I showed up in the BMW X5 that we leased for my wife, and all the guys at the valet gimmick, they're like, "Hey man, what happened to the truck?" And I had my camouflage jacket on and said, "Man, this is BMW. This isn't you." And so I had to tell the guys why I was driving a fucking BMW X5. Anyway, so here we are, and this year I was going to drive my 96 Suburban. I just got it out of the shop, purring like a kitten. I was going to drive that motherfucker down here. And sure enough, getting ready to pack up, she goes, "You know you're taking a BMW, right?"
Lordy.
This is my wife laying it down to me what vehicle I'm going to drive to Las Vegas. So I'm like, yeah, well, I was planning on taking a 96 Suburban. "No, you're going to take the BMW X5. There's a time in a relationship where sometimes, it is what it is. You got to lay down, hey, no, it's going to be like this. When Kristen had that tone in her voice, I knew on both occasions I would be driving a BMW X5 to Las Vegas. I was going to do the guy thing, Fowler, roll up in a Ford Bronco, because I've been rolling up my truck, roll up in a 96 Suburban. But no, to its credit, our BMW X5, which is the lease is up on this month, you get that sumbitch on the highway, and it is world class. So I enjoyed the drive. I came out here yesterday. It's about a 4-hour drive. And about 200 miles out, man, I blinked my eyes, and all of a sudden I was there. So my trip was easy. You, on the other hand, came out on what? You fly Southwest?
Southwest, yes.
And you was B-49 on the Borden, right?
Yes, sir.
So how'd that work? Cattle car. I mean, you might as well grease up with some KY jelly, grab a crowbar and a shoehorn, and start boarding that sumbitch. How was it?
No, it was packed. You know, they were trying to sell the seats because they'd oversold the flight, you know, telling people if you take the next one, we'll give you $300 and, you know, monopoly money or whatever they pay you in. Yeah, and of course, typically, you know, I'm 6'5", 248 now.
Right.
Thanks. You know, they put me between a couple of pretty good-sized boys anyway, and I'm sitting right in the middle seat. Yeah, it's real comfortable.
You're kind of a germ fanatic, Fowler. So are you just trying to? I know it's probably getting under your skin when these cats are rubbing on your elbows and shit.
Oh, man, I can't stand to have people touching me, bumping against me. Yeah, I mean, I'm curled up in that seat like a little burrito trying to, you know,
A 6'5" burrito crammed in the middle seat of Southwest. Did you pop open that bag of pretzels they give you and say, hey, you guys want one?
Now, did they give you a little cereal bar, like a little granola bar?
How'd that go
And
down?
it's about the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, really, what am I supposed to do with this?
Well, you get that scratchy throat. That's probably
Yeah,
going to
boy,
irritate,
that-
exacerbate. How about that? Exacerbate the situation. Exacerbate. 4-syllable words. I didn't say masturbate. Found up there jacking off in the Southwest Airlines. So
Holding my cereal bar.
yeah, we've already hit this thing right in the gutter when him at the 5-minute mark. So, and give you a little bit of beverage to wash that granola board down.
Yeah, about 15 minutes after they give you that granola bar. So you're sitting there with a mouthful of, you know, dust.
Mouthful of sand and dust.
Like, it really? Yeah.
You know, back in the day, man, when they used to hand out some stuff on airlines, it was good shit.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
These days, these motherfuckers are so tight trying to make a damn dollar, and yeah, I can't blame them. The economy's a drizzling shits. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But the airline food these days, it ain't worth a flying shit. We got on a airplane. I got on an airplane the other day. Last week, WWE announced the WWE Network, and Vince wanted me up there for that. So, man, I'm doing my thing. I'm riding up there in first class. I'm sitting down. I'm just kind of minding my own business, and there's always this guy. The guy that's got to have that overhead bin carry-on luggage that's just a cunt hair too big to actually fit in that fucking hole. And this guy's pushing this thing, and he's jimmying it around, and he's pushing it, and he's repositioning it, and it's like, you know, dude, just you've probably done this. I mean, he ended up getting it up there, but it was a pain in the ass. And, you know, of course, the line's backed up all the way out the goddamn jetway. Just buy you a little smaller suitcase for that motherfucker. You know, because he was the guy that needed a crowbar, a shoehorn, and some KY jelly to get his shit up in there. And then you're sitting there, and these people walking past you, they knock the shit out of you with their shoulder, their bags, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. So I don't understand what some people are thinking when they get on an airplane. And then one cat was riding up there in first class, had his sandals on. One of my pet peeves, fella.
No, I know it.
I can't stand to see a guy in sandals on an airplane. It just rubs me the wrong way. If it's a chick, women, they wear sandals. That's okay. I wear flip-flops all day long, every single day. I got a pair of flip-flops laying right there in my house shoes here in the hotel room. But when I go out in public, if you're going to get on an airplane, flip-flops are a no-no for guys. At least that's the way I feel about it.
Well, their toenails usually look like corn chips anyway. I mean, girls at least take care of their feet.
Even if a guy is going and getting a mani-pedi, I don't want to see his fucking toes. I think it's one of my phobias. A toe-phobia. Hey, speaking of phobias, I had so many people send in some questions or suggestions or demands for me to bring the word of the day back. The word of the day is back. And it was sent in to the Steve Austin Show. If you guys got a word of the day and I use it, I'll mention, see if I can get some free T-shirts out of this deal. I got to talk to my people over at podcast1.com. But a guy named Chris Lemoy from North Providence, Rhode Island, sent in the word of the day. So before we go any further, let's talk about the word of the day. Hey, Steve, what's up? My name is Chris Lemoy from North Providence, Rhode Island. I got a suggestion for word of the day. Tell you the word of the day is sinosilicophobia. Sinosylicophobia is the word of the day. Teddy, you know what that means?
Not a clue.
Sinosylicophobia means the fear of having an empty beer glass. If you think that should be incorporated into your podcast, give me a hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. God dang, Teddy, I was tossing and turning and fumbling around here last night. I guess I had sinosylicophobia because I thought my beer was going to run out. I didn't sleep worth a shit last night. I get in my room. We all went out to dinner. Had a pretty good steak. Now, you know what? My steak sucked ass. I ain't going to lie about it. It was too damn dry. How was yours?
Got a little too much fat and not much flavor on it.
Too much fat, no flavor. And so anyway, came back in. I was going to get my hotel room here at the Venetian. Got a good hookup over here. And tried to turn my air conditioner on. The goddamn air conditioner didn't work. So I'm fiddling around with that damn switch and nothing. So I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. I'm trying to get some Q&As for the show here today. And here comes the technician. Real cool guy. We start telling wrestling stories. He knows who I am. And he works on my air conditioning unit for damn near an hour. And I'm trying to get it early night because we was going to get up this morning and go bust out a workout, which we did. So he starts telling a wrestling story, and he grew up in Detroit. And he says, I was at a grocery store. No, he's at a drugstore. He says, I was at a drugstore about 40 years ago, and I'm a pretty big guy. And he goes, this guy that was a little bit bigger than me comes up to me and goes, you want to arm wrestle? So they arm wrestled, and the guy beat him. He says, do you want to get into wrestling? And the guy that was here working on my air conditioning said no, and he's an engineer, and he works on things now. But the guy that asked him to arm wrestle was none other than Killer Kowalski. Killer Kowalski, a very famous old generation wrestler. You're probably not into the historics of the wrestling business as I am, but to bring it up so it makes sense to you, Teddy, Killer Kowalski is the guy that trained Triple H, among many other people, to be in the business of professional wrestling. So that was my feel-good wrestling story of the day. I talked to you the other day about the WWE Network.
Yeah.
With the $9.99 a month, 100,000 hours of original content, all the reality stuff they're gonna do. All the pay-per-views, all that bullshit are you can access through WWE Network online. What were your thoughts on that, Teddy?
Oh, I'm all for it. I mean, I watch all that stuff anyway through the Netflix. You know, watch all of the old they are the old WWE, documentaries and the old matches and the best rivalries. So yeah, I'll definitely sign up for it because I like watching that stuff. It's better than the garbage that's on TV nowadays.
Well, yeah. Because ain't no programming on TV. All the pay-per-views are on there. You haven't got a pay-per-view in a long time. I mean, we're down at the ranch, we get WrestleMania, or if most of the time I'm in L.A. But I always watch WrestleMania. But the other ones I can't really.
No, I don't.
I ain't got time to do all that. No. But if they're going to include it on the $9.99 gimmick, well, then I'll jump all over that like a duck on a June bug. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. I think it'll be a massive success. I mean, it's just so much bang for the buck. And the way so many people are watching shows on their iPhones or their tablets and all that other stuff, I would have never figured that technology would take us where we're at today. Of course, I'm a guy that would travel around the world and get hit in the head with a steel chair. Wrestling in 20x20, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But it's very interesting to me to see how the business has shifted over into this direction that it's gone. And in 2 years from now, it's going to be even more so. So I think their timing was perfect. I actually heard that the UFC had done this about a week or two before WWE, but I was down at the ranch with you. Right. I was kind of oblivious. We were hunting and drinking so much, I didn't have time to hear about the UFC announcement, but I think that's great for them too. But when you look at the different libraries, if you compared the two libraries, it's not even a comparison. The WWE has so much more of a library with that much content, and from all the different federations. I think it's going to be a massive success. And my little chump cheap ass is actually going to sign up for it as well. And it helps me. It would help me with my research. You type in a match there on the screen, and all of a sudden you've got that match. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it and doing all that stuff. I mentioned that I was here for that convention.
Right.
And I was trying to stay away from all the casinos and the hullabaloo and horse shit. So I tried to stay at a very small hotel. It was all booked up. So they ended up putting me over at the Trump Tower. I ain't never stayed at Trump Tower before. And I walked in because I wanted something simple. I'd just go to my room. And that's what the Trump Tower offered. I didn't see the casino or wherever it was. And I get up to my room, and it's a badass room. I got a big-ass Viking refrigerator. I got a full range, oven, burners, microwave. It's a badass room.
Air conditioning?
Air conditioning works. Donald Trump, the air conditioning worked in that goddamn room. But I couldn't get online. I couldn't get my Wi-Fi to work. And Vince is trying to call me to give me some messages for a little bit of a heads up about what we were going to do down there. And so I called the guy on the phone, real nice guy. And after about 20 minutes of talking on the phone, he finally got my Wi-Fi to work. He circumvented and went back behind and did a bunch of bullshit. So swig of beer for the guy who got me online at Trump Tower, because I was going to be madder than a hornet if I had to give a disparaging report on my experience at the Trump Tower. But it turned out to be a great stay, and I'll be staying at the Trump Tower in the future due to my experience and how much I like the rooms and their setup. And it started taking me back to thinking about what a cool guy Donald Trump was. It was a couple of years ago. I'll share this story with you guys, and then we're going to take care of some business, and I'm going to jump into some Q&As. You guys have been sending me a lot of badass questions here, and I read them all. I can't cover them all, but I read them all, and I'm going to answer some questions while I'm here in Las Vegas. And then, of course, coming up next Tuesday, the part 2 of the Roddy Piper podcast will come back on, and what a blast it was talking to Roddy Piper, and a guy who paid so many heavy dues coming up in the ranks, not just in the business, jumping into business at 14 years of age, but his life as a kid was extremely hard. And I was sitting there just as far as I was from you, Teddy, right now, and you could just read the pain on his face, and you could feel the pain talking to him. It was an incredible one-on-one conversation, and I got to thank Roddy for sharing so much information with me. And that's why I always like to talk to people in person when I talk to them. And you never know what they're going to share with you, but the communication is so much easier. And man, what a compelling story. But more of that. But let me get back to this Donald Trump story, and it tell you how cool I think Donald Trump is. We were there in Detroit at Ford Field. It was WrestleMania, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, when they gathered up the two teams, and Vince had a team and Donald Trump had a team. And those two teams are going to wrestle each other. I was a special referee. And whoever's team lost was going to get his head shaved. Okay, well, you know the gig here.
Yeah.
Donald Trump ain't getting his hair shaved. He's got that comb-over thing, and it's going to be a long time. If he gets that shit shaved off, it's going to be a long time before it grows back.
Right.
And so you know Vince is on the hook. So anyway, we do the deal. And the thing about the match was, Teddy, we're at Ford Field, and that Ford Field seats about 90,000 people. It's gigantic. It's a huge indoor stadium. But what happens when you're in a 20-by-20 ring there, and the crowd's a little far back, the sound doesn't really travel to the ring. It just kind of escapes up into no man's land, and you can't hear it. So we were out there working, and I was calling the match, but I'm listening to the crowd because I know if we need to shift gears, we need to do something else. But the bottom dropped out of that because we couldn't hear shit. And we're all in there, and I'm kind of giving Vince a gimmick look, and he's looking at me. We thought we lost the people. Well, when you watch it back on pay-per-view, I mean, the people were with everything that was going on. We just couldn't hear it.
Right.
So now what they do when they're working in a big arena like that is they'll put some monitor speakers and point those back towards the ring, like a rock and roll band does, so you can hear the feedback or hear yourself, hear what's going on. And if you hear that crowd, it helps you make your decisions.
Right.
So anyway, there we were in the middle of a 8-man clusterfuck. And Vince's team lost the gig, counted 3, and it was time to shave his head. And so we did that, and we were just kind of going over, the brass tacks of the business, and then we're going to go back and, have the event. And before we left, Vince says to Donald Trump, "Hey, Donald, one more thing." And I didn't even know about this, but I was watching it unfold. How do you feel about taking a Stone Cold Stunner? And Donald kind of hesitates. The boy's handler's right there. And, Donald's worth, I don't know, $1, $2, whatever it is. Yeah. And he's a straight up business guy. And if he has any athletic skill, I know not of it. And his guys tell him, no, there's no reason you need to get any kind of physicality with this stuff. There, you have nothing to gain, blah, 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 blah. And he looks at Vince. He goes, sure, I'll take it. And I'll be damned. I sat there and I talked with Donald for about 2 minutes, just kind of give him the basic, here's how it goes. I think I might have demonstrated on somebody, not Donald. And the match happened. Comes time for the stunner. Bing, bang, boom. Ring up Donald Trump with the stunner. And it looked like shit. And he took it like shit. But I am a fan of Donald Trump because he didn't have to put himself in harm's way. Yeah. He did it for the show. He did it for me. And he did it for the wrestling fans that were there. 90,000 and I don't know, maybe 1 million or 2 watching. So I always give props to Donald Trump for doing business the way he did at WrestleMania. It was a stand-up thing to do. Donald, I know you don't listen to this crazy-ass show, but I got a lot of respect for you. I'll be back at the Trump Tower because I had a damn good time staying at your damn hotel over there. Teddy, let's shift gears. Let's take care of a little business, and then let's jump into some Q&A that some people sent in to the Steve Austin Show, questionsteveaustinShow.com. You guys been sending some good questions. I want to answer some of these. Stay in touch. And don't forget, man, if you got any kind of ideas how to make this show better than it is, send your ideas in. I read every single email that comes in. I do not have a chance to respond to all of them, but I read all of them. But before I jump into IncomeRevolution.com, Teddy, I forgot to ask you. Right now, we're in Las Vegas, the home of a bunch of hookers. I didn't hear no activity coming from your room last night. You're about 5, 6, 7 rooms down, but I didn't hear a bunch of hollering, hooping, and bullshit. So what happened?
No, I'm pacing myself.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I told you, I didn't know those people were at the Hard Rock this weekend. Yeah, I might have to.
Oh, Teddy was telling me. He came in this morning. We went down. We was going to go eat breakfast before we did this show, and the breakfast line's a mile long. So we said, fuck that. We'll go get a coffee. And then the coffee line was a mile long. So we said, fuck that, we'll just go get our workout in. So we got our workout in, and I tell you what, the workout was a piece of shit. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
But without any coffee, and I took an Alpha Brain and a Shroom Tech before I went down there, but I need a little bit of coffee to kick those things in. So I was glad we had our workout. We'll have another workout again tomorrow. But the weights felt heavy this morning.
No, I know it. But see, I didn't bring any Alpha Brain or Shroom Tech because I didn't want to fly with it. I didn't know.
Well, that's straight up legal.
Yeah. Dude, I don't fly much.
Well,
I don't get out of the house much.
Hey, I've been taking my Alpha Brain the other day, and I lose everything. And I lost my hat.
No, I know.
Last night I was late for dinner almost because I couldn't find my fucking hat. And so I left it at one of the displays or something like that. But I'll be looking for something at the house, and that's Kristen's go-to line. God damn, that fucking Alpha Brain's working, ain't it? She says it a little bit more feminine than I do, but that's kind of the bottom line of how she says it. And I'm like, no, man, this stuff really, really works. And she just, she rubs her eyebrow and she shakes her head because she's like, really? You're lying. Really?
Think how dumb you'd be if you didn't take it.
Yeah. If you guys think I'm stupid now, you ought to see me when I ain't taking my Alpha Brain. So I'll drop an Alpha Brain and a Shroom Tech on you before we head out to the SHOT Show. We got to get down and mill around and walk around. So no hookers for you. Hookers in the plan for tonight?
No, I didn't say. Don't say no hookers. I mean, hell, I'm already sick. What's the worst that can happen? To go down there.
Did you come prepared? Did you bring some KY jelly, some condoms, anything? Shoehorn?
Got it all. Got it all.
Oh, so you won't bring a fucking bottle of over-the-counter Alpha Brain or Shroom Tech, but you got dildos, butt plugs, and KY jelly.
Yeah, 48 condoms. How long you going? Just 3 days. I'm optimistic.
Teddy's got a pocket full of money. So the AVN show, you going to cruise by that? I see, because I didn't know if you was bored or not walking around seeing all this shit. I figured now that you told me the AVN's in town, the adult video, what is it called?
Yeah, the AVN, the adult video.
Well, however you make adult video awards, it should be AVW. Anyway, what the fuck do I know what I'm talking about? So you're going to go over and check out all the guys and gals?
Goddamn, I'd like to bring one back with me and walk through the SHOT Show. Honey, let's try out this pop-up line.
That ain't a bad idea, actually.
That's a tree stand. That's not a pole.
All right, but since we've hit a new low, before we continue on and get to the Q&A, we got to talk about IncomeRevolution.com. This is a huge opportunity for you to make big money from home in your spare time. Listen up, Fowler. This includes you. Check out these verified testimonials. Christina earned $1,200 her first week and over $5,000 her first month. Hey, you can't beat that. $5,000 working part-time from home? Check out Laurie's story. She made $3,800 her first month. The list goes on and on and on. But these impressive numbers aren't average, so you need to visit IncomeRevolution.com to learn what you can expect. Hey, don't miss out. Income Revolution needs people who want to earn serious money from home. That's you, right? Your age, experience, and education don't matter. They want you. Visit IncomeRevolution.com. That's IncomeRevolution.com. What are you waiting for, people? For the hard of hearing one more time. That's IncomeRevolution.com. Teddy, you're a busy man. You might want to check into IncomeRevolution.com if you get any free time on your hand.
If I get any free time, I'd look at it.
You're probably back here in Vegas with a pop-up line and a hooker. Hey.
I can do that part-time.
All right, let's go to a Q&A here, Teddy, and see what we got. How many of these questions you can help me answer here? Hey, Steve, wow, what an honor to have the opportunity to write you this email. My name is Captain Jose. I won't put his last name because he's deployed in Afghanistan with the U.S. Army. I download your podcast every single week and really enjoy your interviews with all the wrestlers. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and it's incredible and takes me back to when I was little, when you ask questions to old-school wrestlers like Ric Flair, Jim Cornette, Dusty Rhodes, Jim Ross, and you're funny as hell. Nothing but my respects to you, sir. This is some kind of medicine that helps me out through the day in this frickin' crazy place away from my family. Once again, what an honor, and thank you for taking your valuable time and giving back to your fans. God bless you and your family. Hey, Captain Jose, I appreciate the damn email. He's over there in Kabul, Afghanistan. I appreciate everything that you guys and gals are doing over there. I hope that you're all safe, and I hope that you get your ass back here to the United States soil ASAP and swig a beer for the fighting man and the fighting woman over in Afghanistan representing the U.S. of A. Appreciate everything you do. Teddy dig this. Steve, Happy New Year to you, Kristen, and the dogs. Here's a fun question. Who's the harder boss to keep happy, Vince McMahon or the Steve Austin Show fans? Which one and why? Welcome back to the grind of being in L.A. Stay well, Adam. Adam, what in the fuck's going on, mister? Vince McMahon or the Steve Austin Show fans? It's a pretty tough question. Vince is, he's a little bit of a perfectionist, and when I was in that line of work, somewhat I was too, and needed to find the best solution to go about coming up with an angle to make money. And so Vince was always so great at looking at the big picture and looking down the road, back when they used to try to book almost 2 years out, and making sometimes, when injuries happened, chicken salad out of chicken shit. So Vince is an extremely tough guy to work for, or work with, rather. But it was a very fun challenge to try to do as good as we could every single Monday night, or in the house shows, whatever you're booked with. But as far as the Steve Austin Show fans go, man, I want to try to get you guys to keep listening to the show and get you to tell 2 friends and tell 2 friends and tell 2 other friends, so I can keep spreading the word and growing this thing out. So sometimes when you do one of these shows like today, hey, we might hit a double or a triple, Teddy. You got the dang hoarse voice over there, and sometimes technology issues creep up on me. Sometimes you'll hit a grand slam, sometimes you'll hit a home run, sometimes you'll hit a single or double. You just always strive. I think it's like I treat this show just kind of like anything in life. You do your best you can. Sometimes your best ain't going to be as good as it was at other times. Right. So you're going to have your high spots and your low spots. Somehow you just kind of got to ride it out and make it all blend together into one. And sometimes I used to stress so bad over it. I was like, man, why am I doing this podcast? Well, I'm doing it to, for something to do as a creative outlet and because I enjoy it. But when you're doing it, you got to put your name on it, put your stamp on it. You want it to be as good as it can be. And sometimes it seems like the best ain't good enough. But it is what it is. Good question, Adam. I appreciate you sending that sumbitch in. Here's an interesting question, Teddy. You've been watching the business for a long time. I've been a pro wrestling fan for 20-plus years, but I never knew why wrestlers wear wrist tape. Thanks, from John S. Hey, John S., I appreciate you listening to the show. Teddy, why do you think guys wear wrist tape?
And I don't know if it would be to give the other guy something to grip onto, for the throws. But, when you're benching, the guys wear the wrist wraps. I think that's. You
hit it right on the head there, Teddy. Basically, it's just for traction. You get a lot of sweat going on in there.
Yeah.
A lot of guys wear some baby oil to look shiny, look good for the the cameras and for the audience. I was more just a water guy. Didn't really like the baby oil too much. I remember one time I was wrestling Ahmed Johnson over in Germany, and god dang, Ahmed used to put the damn baby oil on like a motherfucker. It's like wrestling a gigantic tanker truck who was slippery in hell. And as all due respect to Ahmed Johnson, a lot of the boys did it back then. Back before then, when I was in Atlanta, I'm not familiar. I don't know if you're familiar, Teddy. Some of my listeners are. That stuff, it's like they would spray it on their skin. It's like a vasodilator. It was like wrestling someone who had icy hot all over them and kind of make their skin red and their veins pump out. But if you got that shit in your eyes, it hurt like a motherfucker. I can't remember the name of it. Back in the day, guys used to use that. But to go back to answer your question there, John, some guys use it a little bit for support. It does offer that depending on how tight you tape your wrist. But long story short, for me, my perspective was just purely for traction. When you're wet in there and slippery, just basically even due to sweat, you need something to grab a hold of and not to slip off, because there ain't nothing that looks worse than sending a guy into the ropes and you disconnect, and then you got to re-grab. Because, theoretically, you shouldn't be able to re-grab.
Right,
because
right.
that guy didn't want to get sent into the ropes to begin with. Right?
Yeah. Here's my arm. Do that again.
And that was always another thing that always got me, because a guy might know the spot that was coming up. And if the guy's pounding on him in the corner, and then all of a sudden he just hands the guy his arm.
Yeah.
A little bit of, up is okay, but you just don't want to look like you're shaking the guy's hand. So basically, to answer your question, it's for traction. When you look at what Triple H was doing with tape back in the day, he taped up that right hand very heavily, and he would use that as part of his gimmick as far as his look goes, because he was using that right hand as a sledgehammer. And I always thought it looked really cool. It was a good idea. Sometimes I wish I would have thought of it before he did, and certainly guys have been doing this for a long time. But the downside of that is that was part of his gig. He taped up that right hand every single night. So a lot of work, a lot of tape, a lot of bullshit, but that's the answer to your question. Moving on down the road here. That's a long-winded question. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Steve, I was reading the history of the WWF article on their website, and they brought up the night where The Undertaker crucified you on his symbol. The little blurb about it said there were so many complaint calls that the WWF phone systems crashed. I watched that episode live and thought it was just great TV. It was over the top, but that was at the time. What were your thoughts of it? I know Vince Russo was running creative back in, and he did a lot of over-the-top things. Owen hadn't had his accident yet, so there weren't many restrictions in that area, I don't believe. Also, I know a lot of people didn't like Russo. Could you give a little background from your perspective about him and how things were while he was working with you? Oh, Jason. Well, good question, Jason. Teddy, you remember the night
I remember
when the
that.
ministry hood hung me up by that metal cross?
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, man, they first showed me that big-ass metal cross, and they hooked the cables to it and pulled it up there to the ceiling, or as high as they did anyway, off that metal grill stage. And I looked at that damn contraption, and I'm like, hey, man, I said, this motherfucker ain't going to fall, right?
Right.
Because I'm standing on a platform on that crucifix. and my arms out here to the side, and they're strapped down. So if that thing falls, I can't. First of all, the thing weighs several hundred pounds.
Yeah.
It's a big ass piece of metal, and so if one of those cables snapped, it's not like I can, just jerk one of my arms free and stop myself. Plus, the crucifix weighed several hundred pounds. It doesn't matter if I got them free. Anyway,
Right.
I was going to get crushed because I could not stop that weight. So I asked several questions about, the safety of it. Would it fall? Blah, 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 blah. No, we're good. So anyway, we go out and do the gig that night. Undertaker gets me there. He ties me down. I'm standing on the little platform that I have to stand on. And all of a sudden, man, I think the lights went down and they started pulling that cross up. And Undertaker kind of went into his routine. I guess he was down there posing the Undertaker thing. And if I'm not mistaken, Paul Bearer was there. All I remember, Teddy, is being up about, I don't know how high they took that cross at that time, 30 feet, whatever it was, 10 feet maybe. But it was up in the air. I was suspended. And obviously, I was just I was just standing there with my arms out in a pair of trunks. And it was weird. It was real weird. I think they might have had the purple lights going about that time. And I just I hate when people use the word, it was so surreal, because it's a cliche.
Right.
But surreal would have to be the word that I might use there. And I just kind of zoned out. I kind of try to put myself like what was really going on maybe back then when they did that many, many years ago. And so I was just up there just kind of zoning out, tripping, and just kind of and when you're in a moment like that, Teddy, what are you going to do? Because you can get up there and you're going to act like you don't like it. And you're trying to pull your arms and flail around. That would be a stupid sell.
Yeah.
That's not going to translate. So the thing was, I was there. There's no getting out of it until someone got me out of it.
Yeah.
So I just went up there, stood on that platform, and kind of went into a trance almost. And it was a very weird, spooky feeling, and the crowd was tripping. And then finally, I don't even remember, when they let the thing down and they unstrapped me off of it. But anyway, it was a real weird experience to I guess, sum it all up. And as far as Vince Russo goes, he was running some creative back end. He did a lot of over-the-top things. And I always thought that Vince Russo, as long as you had a rev limiter on him, he was very, very good. I enjoyed working with Vince. He came up with a lot of great ideas. If you didn't have any restrictions on him, then he would go totally overboard and fuck a lot of shit up. But he was certainly a guy that I looked forward to working to. He was a guy that I certainly looked forward to working with every single Monday. And he was very enthusiastic and did have a lot of great ideas. There's some shitty ones too, as we all do. But I would say most of my experience with Vince Russo was very positive. I think I've seen over the internet many times that he might have tried to take a little too much credit for some of the stuff that Stone Cold Steve Austin did, and wanted to say that he was entirely successful for that, that he was entirely responsible for that success, but that would not be the case. Did I enjoy working with Vince? Absolutely. Have you ordered your Steve Austin Audio Whoop-Ass t-shirts yet? They're available right now at podcast1.com. Just click on the store link. It's a perfect way to ring in a new year. And check this out. It's a black t-shirt, so it's a good color for everyone. And if you spill food on it, no one can see it. So get your shirt right now at podcast1.com. Just click on the store link. Eddie, let's jump into some Q&A that some people sent in to the Steve Austin Show. QuestionSteveAustinShow.com. Good day from down under. I've been watching since WrestleMania 1. One thing I don't think I've seen is a wrestler sneeze in the ring, let alone cough. Closest I've seen is when Rock was cutting a promo on Mick Foley, but he only seemed to lose his voice. So can you give me any explanation why wrestlers don't sneeze in the ring? Next time I go in the ring, I'm going to take some sneezing powder or some black pepper and blow it in someone's face so they start sneezing. I'm sure I've seen a guy sneeze in the ring. I can't recall where it was or whatever, but to your point, as far as just watching a match, I can't remember anybody ever sneezing in a ring. Can you?
No, I
Yeah.
can't remember either.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like I think your body sometimes knows that you can't sneeze, so it does not.